Welcome, our therapeutic class today, and you may want to have a chair handy for today's class, even if you're comfortable sitting on the floor. We'll kind of use it as a bit of a prop, but if you don't have a chair handy, don't worry, we'll make it work. So today our theme is around taking small steps, and I actually went to a wonderful presentation many years ago. A friend of mine climbed Mount Everest. And, his advice is you take it one step at a time, right? And he likened it to eating an elephant. Not that we'd ever eat an elephant, but that you do it one bite at a time. And in yoga, we always, as a yoga teacher, I'm always trying to sequence my classes so that we're taking steps toward a particular goal. So warming up parts of the body to reach that goal. Although sometimes in life I see the goal and I just want to leap there. I want to skip all of those steps. It never really works out that well. So today we're going to look at some of the sort of steps. We're going to look at a pose called the splits or Hanumanasana. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to do the splits today, but we're going to look at some of the steps that would take us there. And there is absolutely guaranteed 100% there is a step or steps along the way that you can do today. And if it's a pose that you feel that you want to do eventually, then you can work along those steps. But the end goal is often not the point, right? The point is enjoying the journey along the way and gleaning as much sort of goodness from that journey as you can. So we've been looking in the last few weeks about resourcing or tools that we can use to come back to our comfort zone. And today what I'm asking you to do is step a little bit outside of your comfort zone, but know that you have a way back, right? We've been working on this for the last 4 weeks. You have a way back to your comfort zone. So you literally come back to a pose that feels comfortable to you in your body. And if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, looking around, following your breath, feeling the ground, tuning into sensation in your body, humming we did last week, so making some sound. So all of those things can bring us back to regulation in our nervous system. But we don't want to stay always in our comfort zone, right? We need to kind of push ourselves a little bit to grow. So today, really encourage you to listen to your body. Growth may not be in your palette of desires today. So you may just really stay within your comfort zone. You may feel ready to push a little bit, but honor your body. So your body gives you the final word. If it doesn't feel good, don't go there. So we'll start seated. You can sit in your chair or on the ground, whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so we'll start with some of the tools that we've been using over the last few weeks to start to bring us into a more centered place as we begin our practice today. So as always, your eyes can be open or closed. And if your eyes are closed, softly closing the eyelids and letting your eyes soften behind your eyelids. And if your eyes happen to be open, you're looking in one direction, but you're allowing your peripheral vision to be open. So you're not in a kind of tunnel vision. And then I invite you to start to feel what is beneath you. So where your sit bones are making contact with what you're sitting on, maybe your feet making contact with the ground, maybe even feeling the weight of your hands resting on your thighs, your knees, or your lap. And tune into those points of contact. Start to feel your body, and if you don't feel much this morning, notice that you don't feel much. You might also tune in now to the sounds around you, simply noticing what's present right now in your environment. What can you hear? And then I'm going to invite you to spend a few breaths where you focus on a nice, long, slow exhalation. You'll inhale normally. And if you like, if you enjoyed humming last week, you can make a humming sound as you exhale. But we'll just take a few breaths where our focus is on letting go completely with the exhale. So a few breaths, humming if you like, or just a quiet, easeful breath. And then just let your breath return to normal. So we'll do a little bit of movement to warm up this morning. So you can start by taking your eyes and looking all the way one direction. So giving your eyeball muscles a little stretch, looking one way without turning your head. And then look all the way the other way till you feel your eyes stretch a little bit with the muscles of your eyes. And then come back to center without dropping your chin. Look down toward the floor. And then without lifting your chin, look up toward the ceiling. Right? And then come back to the center. Again, soften your gaze. Let your peripheral vision come into view here. What do you see on the edges? And then we're going to look up toward the ceiling again, and we'll make a circle with your eyes. So if you're looking up, you can imagine that's 12 o'clock, and you're going to run your eyes around the clock clockwise. So you're going to go to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4, 5, straight down to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and back up to 12. Right, come back to the center for a moment. Make sure you're breathing. So take a couple of breaths if you've been holding your breath while you do that. It's amazing how easily we hold our breath when we're thinking about something else. So let's go counterclockwise now. So looking up to 12 o'clock, and then we'll go backwards. So 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, straight down for 6, over to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back up to 12. Okay, let's come back to the center. We're going to rub our hands together. Make a little bit of heat there. And then you can take the heels of your hands to your cheekbones, the fingers to your forehead, and let the hollow part of I was going to say sole of your hand, but the palm of your hand over your eyes. So there's no pressure on your eyes. Let your eyes soften and relax here. Great. And then if you like, you can take your fingertips now just along the hairline at the center of your forehead and little tiny circles with your fingertips. Just from the center to the sides to your temples. You can come back in over your eyebrows and do some little circles over your eyebrows. Down into your temples and then along the ridge of your cheekbones. Just under the cheekbones, you'll feel those big muscles there. If you relax your jaw a bit, you can massage those muscles just below your cheekbones there. And then come down along your jaw. Just little circles. Good. Back out to the edge of your jaw, down by your ears. And you can find these muscles along the back sides of your neck, little circles there. Just releasing tension in the neck. You can come into your shoulders a little bit. All right. Take your time with this. And then whenever you're done, you can just take your hands and shake off any tension that you may have discovered in your face, your neck, your shoulders. And then let's take the hands and bring the palms together. Put a little pressure there. And then let's make some circles. So you'll take the hands and turn the palms toward the ground, and then roll the hands so the backs of the hands are against each other. Bring your fingertips in toward your body and keep rolling around until your hands are in front of you, palms up. And then we'll roll over, palms down, backs of the hands together. Fingertips come in. You can put just a little bit of pressure on your hands to stretch your wrists, and then reaching out. So again, rolling over, backs of the hands come together, fingers in and open. Let's bring the palms back together, back to the heart. Press the palms together and lift the heart. Draw the shoulder blades down. Take a breath in and reach up. And then exhale, big circle. Let's come back to the center. Inhale again, lifting the arms. And as you exhale, reach out and around. If your breath is a little bit shorter or longer than mine, change the rhythm of your movement to match your breath, or just breathe normally and do the movement at a pace that feels comfortable to you. Right, next time your arms are coming down, you can either clasp them behind your back or reach back and hold the sides of your chair if you're on a chair. And we're going to reach the chest forward, draw the shoulder blades down, and take a few breaths, imagining some spaciousness in the front of your heart, all around your collarbones, your chest, your shoulders. Right, and then release your arms, bring them back onto your thighs. Drop the shoulders down, lift the crown of the head. You can close your eyes or again, keep them open. Soften your gaze if your eyes are open. And just take a moment to notice how your shoulders, chest, face, neck, arms, hands feel after that little bit of movement to warm up that area of the body. And so taking these small steps incrementally to warm up the body. And we're going to come to stand now. So if you have a chair, you can just put it aside for now. We will come back to it. And so we're going to start to warm up the lower part of the body. So we worked with the upper part of the body while sitting, and now we'll come to stand and warm up the lower part of the body. So you can start with your feet a little bit wider apart. And after sitting for a while, it's always nice to do a little movement for the hips. Most of us sit much more than a human body is designed to sit, so it's always good to get up and take breaks if you do sit quite a bit. You can bring your hands to your hips, soften your knees so you're not locked in the knees, and then let the hips rotate in a small circle. So start with a really, really easeful movement, as easeful as you can. It depends on how your hips feel. If there's pain or discomfort, you may need to modify your movement a little bit, make it smaller. You can go both directions. And then if it feels right for you, you might make those circles a little bit bigger, moving a little more towards your edges, finding some sensation. And again, your body, let your body be the teacher. And so if something doesn't feel good, I can't tell from here. So you need to honor and listen to your body, modify in a way that feels good for you, do something different or skip a movement altogether if it doesn't feel good. And then coming back to the center again, check that you're soft in the knees, dropped in the shoulders, right? And then let your hips go from side to side, one way and the other. You can let your whole torso move, your head might go a little bit. Just going from side to side. Right, and then find your way back to the center. Right, so we can take our feet apart in a couple of different ways. Right? One way is side to side like this, and another way is forward to back. So if you start with your feet roughly hip distance apart, so they're underneath your hip bones, and then keeping one foot on the same track that it's on, step forward. Right, so you notice I didn't step in front of my other foot. I'm still on these parallel train tracks. So this step that you just took is the first step in doing the splits. Right? So in the splits, obviously, it's a much wider step than what we're doing, but this is the general direction we're moving in. Now, as we bend that front knee, you'll feel maybe a little bit of stretch in your back calf. We worked on this a little bit last week, I believe. So a little bit of stretch in your back calf. And so the things that we need for splits, we need openness in this area of the back leg and openness in this area, the back part of the front leg, right, as we go down. So we'll start with this area here, this back leg, the front part of the back leg. So as we take the arm on that side and lift it up, you might feel there's a little more stretch in the abdomen, in the hip a little bit, in the thigh perhaps, and then bring it down. So as we bend the knee, a little more stretch in the back hip. As we lift the arm, a little more stretch. So let's try that a few times. So bending the front knee, you're lifting the arm that's the same side as the back leg, and then lowering. See if you can feel sensation of maybe a little stretch in the front part of that hip. If it's too much stretch, take a step back. If you want a little more stretch, take a step forward. You might find that your back heel lifts a little bit if you step further forward, so you may need to kind of juggle that a bit. So let's try the other side. So again, you're going to step forward with one foot in that parallel track. Front knee can bend a little bit. The hand can just rest on the hip or to the side. The one that you're not using will be the same side as the bending knee. So we can bend the knee a little, lift the arm, straighten the leg, lower the arm. So you could say this would be step 2 in moving toward the split. So the first step is just taking that step, right? And then adding a bit of movement to gently encourage a bit more opening in that back hip. Right, and then coming back, let's step the feet back together. And maybe notice, what do you feel in the thighs, in the hips, in the belly? And the answer could be, I don't feel anything different, right? So there's never, ever a right or wrong answer. We're really trying to tune in and notice. So working with the front of the hips, we just did a little bit there. And now we'll work on the back of the leg that would be the front leg. And so here's where you may want to have a chair, but it's not necessary. You can always bring your hands down onto your front thigh instead of onto the chair. So here, you're going to step one foot towards the chair. So I'll do the same foot that I did first last time. And this time, the back foot, you could turn it out just a little bit, and that's going to help you keep that foot grounded, keep it really connected to the earth. Right? So if it's forward, as you go forward, you may need to lift your heel, and that can create some instability. So finding good stability here. We'll raise both arms now. So bonus, we get a little stretch in the back thigh as we lift up. And then as we come forward, you can move that front leg a little straighter just till you feel some stretch in the back of that leg. And then we'll repeat that. So you'll come up and go forward. As you come up, you can bend the front knee to give that little bonus stretch to the back hip that we've already worked a little bit with. And as you come forward, you can straighten the front leg a little bit more to give that nice stretch to the back of the leg. And take your time here. So, sometimes it might take 4 or 5 times to warm up those big muscles. Sometimes it might take years, right? So be patient with these steps. All right, next time you come forward, you can go ahead and stay. And when you're staying, you might want to straighten and bend that front knee a few times. So we're looking for sensation of stretch in the back of that leg, particularly between the hip and the knee. So in the belly area of the muscle. And we're going to stay with it just a little bit longer today. So if your body says enough, I need to come out of this position, you go right ahead anytime. Otherwise, we'll stay for a few breaths, and you can find a place maybe that feels like a good stretch for you. So the legs semi-straight or quite bent, right? Your body will tell you where the stretch is, so you listen. And try to find length in your spine. So the more rounded your back is, actually, the less stretch you're going to feel on that leg. So see if you can find a little lift through the tail, opening through the chest, and breathe. Right. When you're ready to come up, press into both feet. You can raise both arms back up to warrior, and then releasing. And let's step the feet back together. And you can pause here for a moment and notice the difference between one side and the other. How the back leg feels versus the front leg. Notice, I feel quite lopsided right now, so you might as well. That's pretty normal after doing one side. So we will, of course, do the other side. So standing near your chair, if you're using a chair, you're going to step the other foot forward now. The back foot can turn out a little bit. And the same rule here applies. So the wider your feet are apart, the more stretch you're going to feel. So decide which of those steps is right for you. A small step or a larger step. Okay? And then once you find that position that you think will work, and you can always adjust, we'll bend the front knee, lift the arms, breathing in, and then come forward, maybe moving the front leg a little straighter as you go, and bending it as you lift. If you're coordinating breath, inhale as you lift, exhale as you go forward, or as always, breathe and move in the pace that feels just right for you. Try to keep your spine long, so you're actually hinging from the hips, not the waist. And that will give you a very concentrated stretch in the back of that leg, which may mean it needs to be bent quite a bit more. Or maybe your chair is turned around and you're only going as far as the top of the chair in your stretch. Okay, so maybe a couple more here. Lifting, coming forward. And we can take lots of time with each of these steps and really let the body adjust. Right, so as you come to stay now, you might move the front leg a little more bent, a little more straight, so you're easing toward that stretch and then releasing that stretch. And when we approach the stretch with lots of ease and lots of patience, again, we're giving our nervous system the message that we're safe, we're good, that we're not going to force the body into a position that might hurt it inadvertently. If you like, you can stay for a few breaths. You're going to find that place where you get just the right amount of stretch. So approaching an edge where more would be too much, but also less would be not enough. Can you find that place? And it moves around, right? So you have to stay really connected to your sensations to follow. Where is my edge? Right. When you're ready, you can release. We'll lift straight back up to warrior. And then releasing the arms, bringing the feet back together. And again, let's notice, what do you feel now? What are you aware of in your lower body, from the hips down to the feet? So we've taken several steps towards the splits. Don't worry, like I said earlier, we're not going there today. But just because we're not going to a particular destination doesn't mean that we can't enjoy the journey and get a lot of benefit out of that journey. So let's do a few forward bends just to bring our hips and lower back into a feeling of alignment, and then we'll keep working with this same theme of taking steps towards our goal. So starting with heels dropping down, chest lifting up, and then when you're ready, you can raise your arms straight up, bend your knees and come forward as you exhale. You can bring your hands to your chair, your thighs or shins, wherever you like, and then back up with the breath in. So exhaling forward. As always, coordinating the breath is optional, but you still want to breathe. You're lifting and coming forward. So now evenly stretching the backs of both legs. So you definitely want to bend the knees, but keep the spine long as you go forward, any amount that feels right for you. Okay. If you like, you can stay for a few breaths. So that might mean holding your hands on your thighs. It might mean bringing your elbows down to your thighs or hands to a chair. You could allow the back to relax and round and come into a deeper forward bend only if that is right for you. When you're ready, and there's no rush. If you've just got into the forward bend and you're enjoying it, stay a little longer. And if you're ready, you can come upright. So lift with the breath in and release with an exhale. Wonderful. So now, if you have a chair, we'll come back to use this chair to help us to support us in our next step with moving toward the splits. Now, if you don't have a chair, I can show you how to do this. It's actually quite simple. The exercise we did before, you're just going to take it a little wider. So we're stretching the back of that front leg. So on a chair, the way you would do this is you're going to sit with your sit bones right at the very edge of the chair. And then you're going to turn to one side. So one cheek is off the chair. Now you want to really make sure you're stable here. You can bring your hand to the back of the chair, but you want to make sure you're not going to pull your chair over. So no three-legged stools here. Now from here, taking this, we've got lots of support from the chair, right? You can take this leg back, have a bend in your knee, right? Hand can come to the hip. So the more you're going to stretch that back leg straight, the more you're going to feel the stretch in the front leg. If it's possible, try to have your front foot on the ground. Like I'm very tall, so that's easy for me. You might need to be on your toes, but I would recommend to have your foot on a block or a book if you can't quite reach the ground. And that's going to give you a little more stability. Right? So you can start with a bent knee and reach back and release. So the knee comes forward and back. Now, if you want a little bit more here, as you start to stretch that leg back, reach the arm up and then release. And then reach the arm up and release. Great. If it feels right for you, you can stay a few breaths here now. So that back leg does not have to be straight. You're looking for the stretch that feels just right for you through the abdomen, through the hip, into the thigh. Maybe that's with the arm up, maybe not. Great. And then let's release that side. You can drag that leg forward, turn on your chair, pause for a moment. So sitting with both sit bones anchored, both feet on the ground, hands on the thighs. Right, so if you've been doing this without a chair, right, it's just the same thing, but you don't have the chair to support you. So you can bend and straighten the back leg, right? Lifting the arm as you straighten, bring it down. So same exact thing, just without the support of the chair. Now, if you're ready to go to the other side, again, you want to sit at the edge of your chair, turn to the side, hold on, make sure this outer leg is free so it can swing back, your front foot as flat as you can get it. So Again, if you are not quite as tall, maybe, having a block or a book under your foot can be helpful to feel that groundedness. And then you can stretch the leg back. So you're facing the same direction, the side of your chair, facing the same direction as your front knee. And then you can reach back a little and release. Reach back. And as you reach back with the leg, lift with the heart. Release. Again, if you want more, arm lifts as the leg reaches back. And then release. And if you like, you can stay a few breaths, either with the arm up or down. Back leg is anywhere from quite bent to fully straight, and you're breathing. If it's too much for your body, back off. Bend the knee, bring the hand down. Do what you need to do. Come out of the pose altogether if you need to. Great, and then when you're ready, releasing. And drag that back foot in. Turn back around. If you're standing, you can simply stand in mountain pose for a moment. If seated, just staying on your seat for a moment and noticing. What are you aware of now? And so for me, there's not a lot of therapeutic value in actually doing the splits. But taking these steps toward the splits has a huge amount of therapeutic value. So we sit a lot, right? When we sit a lot, we shorten these muscles in the front of the hips. By taking the leg back, as we just did, we start to open these muscles, we arch the back, right? So we come out of our habitual, this is our habitual seat, right? And we come into this much more open posture. So it's very interesting to me that we could, if I asked you to do the splits, we'd probably all get really strained in that process. But doing the steps leading up to it can be extremely beneficial. So let's go into a forward bend now. And if you're seated, I would recommend you stand for this. This is going to give your legs a little bit more of a stretch. And you can also do it seated if you like. So here we'll take the feet a little wider. So we were looking at the splits going forward and back. There's another way of doing the splits to the side. We're not even going to go there today. But taking the feet a little bit wider here, we'll do a forward bend. So reaching up with the breath in. As you come forward, sweeping the arms, either hands or elbows to the thighs, or reaching toward the ground. Let your head release, and then coming back up. So breathing in as you come up, exhaling, going forward. The usual caution with high blood pressure or any kind of head pressure, you want to keep your head above your heart so you're not increasing that pressure to your brain. If you like, you can stay in that forward bend again for a few breaths. So head could release down, maybe elbows or hands on the legs or on the chair. You're breathing, softening. And then when you're ready, we'll come all the way up, reaching up and releasing. And then let's bring the feet together. Give a little shake. And shake the arms, shake the legs, let it go. Great. And so we're going to make our way to the ground now. So you can move your chair out of the way if you've been using one. You might need your chair to help you, support you to get down to the ground. If you do, please use it. Otherwise, make your way down in any way that feels right for you. And you're going to lie right down on your back. Right, So let's take a moment to rest before we move into a few more leg stretches today. So you can let your hands rest on your body, and we'll come back to one of the tools that we were using over the last few weeks, which is feeling the ground, feeling the breath. So as you rest here for a moment, feel the breath under your hands, feel the ground beneath you, and allow your body to start to sink into the earth a little bit. We're not going yet to Shavasana, so we're going to remain somewhat alert, but at the same time relaxed, which is actually the way we want to be in Shavasana as well. Alert and relaxed. And ideally, through our whole practice. Couple more breaths here, softening into the earth with each exhalation. Right. And then I invite you to bring one knee up into your chest. And then it's optional that you can extend the other leg straight out on the ground. And as you do this, it's actually giving a little stretch to the front of that hip again. So if you were to imagine yourself turned over, right, so you were upright, this back leg would be the back leg in your splits. The front leg obviously would be bent here, but we can start to move it a little bit straighter. So moving it straighter and then bending it in. Right, so a full upside down splits, this leg would be, way back here. That's not going to happen, but we're moving in that direction. So we've got a little bit of stretch here. You want to keep that leg on the ground active, engaged while we raise and lower the other leg a few times. So stretching the legs in both directions in this movement. If you like, you can stay with the leg stretched, maybe reach for the calf if you can. And then as you're ready, you can release that leg. And then either both legs straight or both legs bent. So we'll just observe for a moment. Again, how does one hip and leg feel compared with the other? Because they were doing quite different actions. Like one was stretching in the front, the other stretching in the back. Right. And then when you're ready, let's bend both knees again. And then we'll bring the opposite knee up in toward the chest. You can hold on over the shin or behind the thigh if you like. And then see if it feels all right for you to stretch the other leg out. That may be a little bit more stretch than feels good for you, so you can always bend the knee. Okay. And then as you're here, you can start to move the lower part of the leg toward the ceiling and then bend it in again. And don't worry if it feels like it's a lot of stretch or there's not much movement there. That's really normal in this extended position. That it feels a little more challenging to stretch the back of that leg. And you can stay for a few breaths. See how that feels. And then relaxing, bending the knee, bringing that foot to the floor. And again, you can stretch both legs out or bend both knees for a moment. Come back to hands on the body, observing the breath, tuning in. What are you aware of now? How do your hips and legs feel now? We've been taking a little journey together without any concern for the destination, and really more concerned with how we feel along the way. Right. and then let's bend the knees and bring the feet to the ground underneath the knees and bring the arms down to your sides. So another way of opening very gently the front of the body is with the pose, bridge pose, which I think you're probably familiar with, if not by name, at least by doing the pose. And what that does is from this position, right, with the knees bent, there is a smaller angle here on the hip flexors, right? As we lift the hips, that angle flattens out. So we get a little more stretch in the front of the body, and then we drop back down. If you want more stretch, you can take the arms overhead as you lift the hips. So it's up to you. The feet on the floor, we're going to press down to begin with, and then either just lift the hips up or take the arms overhead as you lift the hips, and then we'll lower back down. So lifting and lowering at your own pace. If you want to coordinate breathing, inhale up, exhale down. It is totally optional to coordinate with your breath. Great. And then next time you come down, just go ahead and stay on the ground. Again, you can bring your hands onto your body if you like, and take a few breaths to observe what you are aware of right now. What do you feel in your body? So let's take the arms to the sides now, a little bit away from the body. You want to keep your knees bent. We'll work with a gentle twist now. So if your feet are a little bit further away from each other, side to side, the twist is going to be a little bit more in the hips. If you bring your feet close together, the twist is going to be more in your spine. So because we're focused on hips today and creating some movement around the hips, let's try it with the feet a little bit apart. So about hip distance apart, could be even a little bit wider, arms to the sides. And as you slowly let your knees go to one side, you might notice the leg that's on top, if the feet are apart a bit, there's a little bit more stretch into the side of the waist and down into the front of the hip. Coming back to center, try going to the other side. So you really want to make sure that this feels good on your waist and hips. As you go side to side, take your time. If you want to notice the difference or see the difference, if you bring your feet together, how that changes the twist, you can give that a try, just for curiosity. So when I do that, I get much more lift in the hip, much more twist in the spine, compared with the legs being apart. So you can see what feels best for you. Side to side a few times. If you like, you can stay and breathe on each side for a few breaths, or just keep moving. In any journey that we're on, there's many ways to get to the destination, if that's even the goal. Wonderful. After you've gone side to side a few times and you feel complete with the twist, and bring your knees back to center. And then we'll invite the knees into the chest, and you can place one hand on each knee and draw the knees towards you and then away from you. So again, coordinating the breath and movement is optional if you decide to take that journey. And exhale as you draw the knees in, and inhale as you move the knees away. You're going at your own pace, whether you're coordinating with your breath or not. And then any other movement here that might feel good. So you could rock a little side to side, holding onto the knees. You might circle the knees around. So looking to massage the back of the hips. back of the waist, the lower back, with whatever movement feels good to you here. Give your knees a little squeeze. You can, again, as always, hold over or behind the knees. Couple of breaths here, releasing whenever you feel the need. And when you do release, release slowly. Take a few breaths as you unwind. And if there's other movement that your body is interested in doing right now, you can do whatever movement might feel good. If you're ready to move into Shavasana, we'll move soon. Next into Shavasana will be our next move. So you can go ahead and move yourself to that position, whichever position that will be for you. Right, so it could be lying with your legs straight. It could be lying with your knees bent. You might prefer to sit. That is always an absolutely fine option. And if you're sitting, you want to sit comfortably with your spine erect. And if you're lying down, of course, you also want to be comfortable and make sure you're warm enough, that you have enough support under you. And as you find your way to that comfortable position, start to settle by coming back to your breath and bringing your focus to your exhalation. So letting your body drop with each exhalation. Letting go of the effort of the physical practice as you come into the more inward part of our practice today. With each exhale, feel yourself sinking in a little more deeply. Notice if you're holding tension around your jaw today. And if you discover that you are holding tension there, relax. And let the surfaces of your teeth slightly move away from each other. Softening even in the tongue in your mouth. So let your tongue's a big muscle, letting it relax. Let all the muscles of your face soften. The weight of your head sink down. Relaxing all around the neck and down into the throat. Relaxing deeply into the throat. Relax your vocal cords. Let the breath move easily through the throat. And then let the shoulders drop. Your arms release, the hands right to your fingertips, letting go. Feel your whole torso releasing, soften around the rib cage, the belly, the lower back. Feel the weight of your pelvis drop. And let the muscles of your lower abdomen, the buttocks, the hips, all start to release and feel heavy, soft, and grounded. Dropping down into the thighs, feel your thighs release, the front of the thighs into the hip flexors where we were working quite a bit today to stretch and open that area. Softening and relaxing now from the hip flexors down the front of the thighs. And also softening and bringing awareness to the back of the thighs from the sit bones to the knees. Feeling the hamstrings release. And the beautiful thing about working with the splits is it works both sides of the legs quite evenly. So we end with balance. Feeling the knees release. Calves and shins letting go. Ankles and feet releasing. Exhale. Soften even more. Notice where you're holding tension. Notice where you're gripping in your body or your mind or your emotions. And soften. Soften even more. And if you find yourself unable to release and relax areas of your body that are chronically tight, notice that with as much openness and patience and kindness as you can bring into it. Our bodies don't respond to being pressured or shamed. Our bodies don't respond to being forced or pushed. Our bodies respond to patience, to care, to kindness. So giving yourself those gifts, appreciating the journey for each step along the way, appreciating the journey with no goal or destination required. I'm going to share a chant with you today that's about taking that first step. And that first step does not have to be a big one. Just any step toward our goal, and the universe sees our effort and comes to meet us. Om Gananantva Ganapati Gung Havamahe Kaving Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jishtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvan Nutibis Siddha Sadhanam Shri Maha Ganapataye Namaha. As you feel ready, and always it's an option to stay longer if you like. If you are just sinking into Shavasana and feeling like the magic is just beginning, then go ahead and stay. If you're ready to move on with your day, you can start to deepen your breath. Move and stretch in any way that would feel good. And eventually, possibly rolling to your side first, taking some time there. And coming back to sit, again, if that's your choice. So I always try to relate our practices and the themes that we cover in our classes to daily life. And this one works so well. You know, when we have some big project or big goal that we want to meet, and I'm so guilty of getting overwhelmed by looking at the big picture. And if we can chunk it down, right? Take it smaller and smaller and smaller each piece until you can find the tiniest first step that you can take, right? Just like taking that one step that we took earlier in the class towards the splits. Can you take that one step toward your goal? It could literally be thinking about all of the weeds in your garden and making a commitment to pull one or 1 square foot or whatever it is that just gets the ball rolling. Right? So can we take that first step, and can we make each step little and manageable? And if we do that and make a commitment to taking those little steps, eventually our goal appears like magic in front of us. And often what I find is I start taking the steps toward a goal, the goal actually can change, right? And the direction can change, but we need to actually put into action what our intention is. So thank you. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.